Hey, what's happening, guys? This is Shukesh once again. Today I have for you the most important speed test you have been waiting for, that is iPhone 7 versus Google Pixel, which is the first ever Google phone and it's damn fast. Considering there is no Note 7 anymore, Google Pixel is probably the hottest Android smartphone right now. On the other hand, you have iPhone 7. Well, this smartphone is damn good looking, especially the jet black color, and I have also updated the OS to 10.1. Now what's most interesting is Google Pixel is the first ever Android smartphone made by Google itself, and we have the hardware and software from the same company, just like Apple iPhones. There is no customization on the UI, we have the raw Android Nougat without any software bottleneck. As I mentioned before, the iOS 10.1 has been installed into Apple flagship as well. So without any further ado, let's get started with the speed test. Before that, let me quickly compare the Antutu scores, and no need to mention iPhone 7 secured much better result in the CPU, RAM and UX. Now let's start this test with the boot test. As expected, iPhone 7 turned off the screen, but as you know, the shutdown process is actually going on in the background, so I cannot tell which device actually switched off quicker. Now let's turn on the devices. Well, iPhone 7 running on iOS 10.1 is way ahead of Google Pixel, so in this boot test, iPhone 7 is the clear winner. Next, let's do a fingerprint speed test, and as you know, you have to just touch on the sensor on Google Pixel, whereas you have to basically press on iPhone 7, and as expected, Google Pixel is much faster. Let's redo this test to give iPhone 7 another chance. And once again, Pixel is faster. Actually, the Google phone here bypasses the lock screen, there is no trace of it, whereas on the iPhone 7 you get a quick glimpse of the lock screen so that you can get an idea about your notifications. Pressing the home button also takes some time. I also tried this by reducing the motion on iPhone 7 and there isn't basically any change. In fact, at the end of this review, I will turn on reduce motion on iPhone and also disable animation on the Google Pixel, so be with me. To start with, on the dialer, definitely it's a tie. Both smartphones simultaneously opened the apps. Next, we have the messaging app. Looks like iPhone 7 was momentarily faster. Next, let's check the cameras. Definitely Google Pixel is the winner. Well, on the gallery application, I will say it's a draw. They are very close, though you have Google Photos logo at the start, which make the app seem slower. Next, I want to quickly check the YouTube app. Looks like iPhone 7 is faster by few milliseconds. Let's try this video Google Pixel versus OnePlus 3 speed test, which is a must watch, and as you have seen, Google Pixel is slightly quicker. The next apps I'm gonna try are the browsers. Well, looks like Safari browser basically reloaded the site from its cache. So let's try to open a post. Once again, iPhone 7 is much faster. Safari browser is by far one of the best browsers for smartphones. Let's try another post to come to conclusion. Definitely iPhone 7 wins. So far, these two smartphones are neck to neck, except for the browser, of course. Let's try some other third-party apps and games before I check the RAM management, and after that I will reduce motion on both smartphones. On the Facebook application, definitely the Google phone is the winner. Looks like Pixel is ahead of iPhone, though is still loading, so I will say iPhone wins this test. Once again, iPhone loaded the app before Pixel. Now it's time to check the game loading time, where iPhones usually outshines Android devices. I have never seen an Android smartphone loading games faster than any iPhone, but this time we have a phone from Google itself, but still there is no improvement in this regard. The Android smartphone running on the latest Android OS is way behind the iPhone here. Let's try a few more games to check the actual performance of this Google Pixel. There we have Temple Run 2 and iPhone 7 is too fast. There is no Android device in this world that can compete with iPhone 7 in loading games hands down. Let me also check what happens for large high-end games. Looks like iPhone 7 is still way ahead of the first Google phone. There you go. Next, try Asphalt 8. Well, this is insane. One thing I should mention here, you have a Full HD screen on Google Pixel and almost HD resolution on iPhone 7, so the GPU has to push the lower resolution, which really helps. But again, on the iPhone 7 Plus, I really didn't see that much difference. 7 Plus can easily beat Google Pixel or Pixel XL in this department. Let's open another game before I check the RAM management, which should be really very interesting considering you have only 2GB RAM on the iPhone 7, 4GB on Google Pixel. But usually RAM management of iOS smartphones are really great. As expected, the Apple smartphone finished loading the game. So in this speed test, overall, iPhone 7 is the big winner. Google Pixel is ready ultimately. Now it's time for the RAM management test. Let's reload all the open apps and games one by one. I will start with the messaging app. As expected, both smartphones have this application in the memory. Next, we have the galleries. One thing worth noticing on this iOS smartphone, the app window basically loads much quicker than the Android smartphone we have here. Now let's see the YouTube app. Once again, none of these devices have any issue loading this app. One thing I have to admit here, I have never seen an Android smartphone having 2GB of RAM handling this many apps and games so easily. There isn't even any slight lag or hiccup. I want to now check the games. As expected, both still have it in the RAM. Once again, there is no issue on both smartphones. Now, some of you guys might already know that iOS smartphones basically load a screenshot of the apps and games you have been using to give you an illusion that the app or game is already loaded. That's why you get few milliseconds pause at the start. We can actually turn off this feature by turning on the reduce motion option on your iOS devices, but I really don't see the need considering this feels really snappy. But as I mentioned before, I will turn off motion or animation on both smartphones and redo this speed test. Both smartphones are ready ultimately, so let's get started with this speed test part 2. Interestingly, Google Pixel is now the clear winner. This was a tie before, but with the motion reduced, iPhone 7 seems much slower. As I mentioned before, reduced motion basically turns off the animation, which gives you an illusion that the app's loaded instantly. On all the applications, Google Pixel basically beats the iPhone 7 black and blue. So if you are a Google Pixel user, you should definitely consider switching off all the Windows animation and transition scales from the developer options. Honestly, I really like the fact that iPhones make their devices look faster than they actually are, so Android smartphones should actually try something like this. I want to also quickly check the fingerprint sensors, where Google Pixel is already the winner. As I mentioned before, reduce motion doesn't make any change, any improvement on the unlocking process on the iPhone. Let's try once again with displays off. Google Pixel is still the clear winner. Let's now try the games, and I don't think Google Pixel can still beat the iPhone 7 in this department. There you go, way ahead of the Pixel, just like before. Once again, iPhone 7 is much quicker. Still no change. There isn't a single application that this Android smartphone can load fast. As usual, iPhone 7 loaded Brothers in Arms 3 much quicker. What I feel is the apps and games on the Play Store are actually meant for hundreds of Android smartphones, whereas apps on the App Store are developed keeping iPhones in mind. So there is 100% compatibility, unlike Android smartphones where games have to adapt to the resolution, the CPU, GPU, RAM and also the UI, but this should not be an excuse, of course. Well, in this speed test, I will say both have their pros and cons. Overall, on the UI, Google Pixel is the winner, but as far as loading time of big hardcore games is concerned, Pixel is not even close. Comment below if you have any opinion. And of course, if you liked my review style, smash the subscribe button below to get updated on these two awesome smartphones. I will also compare OnePlus 3 and S7 with iPhone 7. Video links will be added to the description below, so check that out. That's all in this review, guys. Thanks a lot for watching. This is Shukesh Banik signing off. Have a nice day.